Hey guys, we're at the Get Real podcast again with myself, Cameron Bailey and Sridhar, and we're going to answer some of your amazing questions that you've sent us through. We love these questions. We're going to answer them off the cuff, so we haven't prepped them, and our beautiful Koshak, our videographer, is going to call them out for us. So here we go.
All right, Koshak, what's first?
All right, first question. How do you find your strengths and know which wisdom you have to offer?
I'll answer that first.
Right.
Look, I think your strengths, first of all, you've got to love them. You know, you can't have a strength that you don't love, is what I think. Like in real estate, I look back at my strengths, and my strengths are people. From the moment that I got into the working industry, my parents were in hospitality. They owned cafes and restaurants, so I was always doing hospo work. So I was washing dishes, or I was, serving in a bistro. So I was always dealing with people. And I think the biggest strength that you can have in real estate is actually listening to people, listening to people properly. I mean, a lot of people in real estate, they listen to answer, but I think I listen to hear and to try and, maybe not solve a problem, but to actually listen, So many times in real estate, we've got scripts and dialogues, and you can go and listen to all these guys online now, and they'll tell you what you need to be saying to get a listing. I can tell you what you need to be saying. First of all, you need to be listening.
Yeah.
So that's one of my biggest strengths, is being able to listen and genuinely get rapport with people. I think that's another big strength of a real estate agent, is you can actually empathize with people and get rapport with them. And then once you've got rapport with them and some trust, then you can lead them to where you want to go. So one of my biggest strengths is that. I love talking to people. I love talking to people on a one-on-one basis, but I've done some talking in front of crowds and audiences. It's not really me, but one-on-one, which is, real estate appraisals, things like that's my sort of thing. So that's probably one of my strengths. What do you think?
I'm surprised to hear about the not being in crowds, because you're actually really good at it. So I've seen you in that. It's just,
it's funny. I mean, I used to fear, when I was at school, I used to dread getting called up on stage even to get an award. I used to hate even just walking up on stage, and now I can talk in front of a couple of thousand people quite confidently, but it's still not what I really like.
Yeah, natural.
I've managed to be able to do it through repetition, but I don't love it.
Yeah, interesting.
So I'm at my best one-on-one, when I can sit down and talk to someone and listen to them and kind of feel their energy. That's when I'm at my best. And that's what I think I do with real estate appraisals as well. When people can, as I said before, I'm a hippie, I carry crystals and all sorts of things with me. So I'm all about energy. So I've got to be with someone to feel their energy. What about you? What's your thoughts on that question?
Yeah, I mean, because it's something that's a really important question. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is for everyone is to know that they have wisdom. Like I have people from a work perspective that come and go, I'm not really, they're wise, and I'm not really wise, and they're comparing themselves to somebody that has what they believe they don't have. And I think the first thing is that everybody has wisdom. So and everybody has a lot of wisdom. It's just in different things. And so to find it, it's I'm very similar to you. Like what you love is a real indication. If you love something, and I guess a word that I use a lot, Cameron, is gravitate. Like, what do you gravitate to?
Yeah.
And if you gravitate to something, and if you don't judge yourself, like a lot of people go, I'm not very good at that. But that's just a whole mind thing that if they actually peel back the layer, they'll find out that they're better than they think at it.
Yeah.
And they're just talking themselves out of it. But so the what we gravitate to and what we have gravitated to over a long period of time is something that, one, we're going to be that interested in it that we've got to be learning about it, and we've got to be learning about it at a level that other people won't be, because they're not that as interested as we are, and they may not also have the receptors, because we all love different things. They won't have in other words, when we love something, we have greater receptivity to learning about that particular things. We want to learn about it and grow in it. So to me, wisdom is, I just always come back to your word. It's one of my favorites too, which is awareness, Cameron. And it's, if we just actually turn everything within, this was we talked about in the last podcast that we're always looking out here, but if we just turn in and just observe ourselves, we'll actually see the wisdom that we have. We're demonstrating it every day. We're talking about it every day. We're living it every day. We may just not realize it. And as far as strengths, that's something we can realize too. It's like, what do you do most of the time that's turning out, good enough?
Yeah.
Like what do you, or great? Like where do you excel? I think if we stop trying to fit into other people's versions of that, and we actually just were able to look at ourselves, it would become obvious to us.
Yeah.
Where is our wisdom, and what areas are we wise about this or wise about that, or what do we end up talking about a lot of the time, and have something to offer in a conversation.
I think one of the biggest things about wisdom is actually being open to other people. People that think they've made it haven't made it. Like it'd be very easy for me to think in real estate that I'm at the top of the industry, I've made it. I don't need to learn. I don't need to listen to anyone. No one else knows as good as me. With that mindset, you failed. Because I can promise you that I can learn some wonderful things from someone that's just started real estate.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and that's, to me, that's one of the biggest wisdoms is being open, never think you've got
That's
there.
a mindset, isn't
it?
Yeah, wisdom is a mindset.
You've got to constantly be looking to further yourself, whether it be in business or your own personal self. I mean, you're always looking to improve. If you're not, I love also the line, if you're not going forwards, you're going backwards.
Yeah.
So you've got to be looking to improve. We're always looking to improve our business. How can we do this better? One of the questions we have each week in my team is, last week, what didn't we do as good as what we should have done, and how can we improve on it?
Yeah.
So be open. Always learning. The best in the world, Michael Jordan, I'm sure he was always looking to be better at what he was doing. He would have listened to other people. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot about real estate, a lot about property, and I still ring up my advisors, 2 or 3 people that I'd run a property past before I buy it.
Yeah.
So be open. That's my biggest thing.
Well, that's a great way to complete that question.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Kaushik, what else have we got?
All right, second question. What do you need from people that are around you?
All right. Well, should I
Here you
start
go.
that one? It's a really great question, and yeah, I think for me the first thing that comes to mind is it really depends. Like it's I'm really big on realizing that if I have problems or challenges, then they're going on within me first and foremost, and I do everything I can to sort through that. I've been very fortunate to, in what I love to do in my line of work, have tools that I can use to help shift that around. But that being said, my wife, who's around me a lot, we do our business together, and we're partners in just about everything. I probably need her to sometimes keep me sane and keep me on the track when just when I'm not all the time, but like when things are there and you can't find the clarity yourself, it's that person that, and for me, that's my wife a lot of the time, who is there for me, and just she's that person that just knows me through and through. And from her, I just need her to reflect me back to me sometimes when I can't, when I've kind of lost that. For me, there's just so many people. I have a dream, and it's a dedication rather to share what I've been given. Cameron, my life was in a really messed up place, and it's turned around, and I have a wonderful life that I love every day. And there's been a lot of people that have been a part of that, and teaching me things and showing me things, and I've really wanted to give that back, but I can only do my part of it. And so there's a whole range of things that I don't do well, and I think, well, you'll talk a lot more about this because I know you have a super team at what you do in real estate, but I need people for what they can contribute, and having people that are masters at all the different things come together and be able to bring that together to do something. And then with the people I work with, I really just need them to be them, but I feel really fortunate that in my job I have people that we're having these kinds of conversations. I'm having them all day with amazing people, and as a result of that, it keeps me on that, helps to keep me on that frequency. It's one of the reasons when I started out, I thought, I always learned that if you want to learn something, then teach it. And I've come to find out that's true. I learn from everybody that I work with, and so it's different things from different people. But it's accountability. Sometimes it's support. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes I think we look for support a lot of the time, but sometimes I need that person to actually know. Again, my wife is really great at this. She'll speak to me directly. She knows, like, hey, get onto it, get with it. What are you doing? You're mucking about there, and she has a nice way of saying it. So sometimes really need people to hold me accountable. So that's what comes to mind for me. How about you? I know you've got an amazing team over there that you put together in real estate. So
I think that, no one can do it by themselves. Whether it be life, relationships, business, you need your people around you. No one's successful by themselves. Michael Jordan, he was the most successful basketball player ever, but he couldn't be Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen and the rest of the Chicago Bulls there. So, you need everybody around you. The thing is I need around me is honesty, I need people to be honest with how they feel and what they think around me, because if someone holds back, some criticism or some feelings, then, we're not dealing with our true selves. And we have a mentality in my work team that we shoot from the hip. We say what we say very bluntly and very, very basic, really, because we don't want there to be complications or confusion with what we're saying. And some of the stuff we're saying can be quite brutal and quite hard, but it's said with the best of intentions. And because we're all aware of that, we don't have arguments. We can have a few tears every now and then, but it's said with the best of intentions. So I want people to be really honest with me. I want to surround myself by as many people with the same beliefs and on the same wavelength or frequency as me, because I think that they gravitate towards me, the people that are on my journey. I think it's not about having the right people around you. I think it's about not having the wrong people around you. So I think I'd flip that on its head, because I think the right people will be there always at the right time and for the right reasons. But we spend a lot of time doing business and doing life with the wrong people. And I've got really brutal now on who I don't have in my life, or who I don't spend time with. That may not mean that I don't talk to them, but it may mean I don't socialise with them, or I don't go out of my way to talk to them. So I think that's the biggest thing you can do, is actually spend the right time with the right people.
Cool. All right, last question. What does having more awareness mean or look like for you?
That's my word, so I better start with that one.
I think so.
Look, awareness to me is probably about slowing down and thinking about things a little bit more, and actually trying to act from your true self, from your heart rather than your mind, because what we're learning and what we're talking about is how your mind can be so far wrong. So we've spent most of our lives, I believe, most people doing what our mind tells us we should be doing, and it's not the right thing. So an awareness is actually having some perception about, is it the right thing to do? Is it the wrong thing to do? Are you going to love it?
Yeah.
I think. That's what awareness is. It's probably slowing down a little bit. We tend to make decisions so quickly without thinking about the full consequences. So maybe it's just about thinking about it a little bit more, but looking at it from an overall point of view. I look at business planning. Like when I look at my business planning, 19 years ago when I started real estate, I only worked year in advance. So every year I'd earn a certain amount of money, do so many sales, the next year I'd want to earn more. I wish now that I'd looked at that a lot differently, because I couldn't see a bigger picture. And that was probably where I was going wrong. I was so focused on the numbers that and what I thought was success that I missed the big picture. I missed the people that I was getting to meet, the people that I was having around me, the actual joys of real estate, because I still love real estate. 19 years into it, I actually love real estate. And as I said before, I'm lucky enough to do what I want to do. If I was to go back and start my 20 years again, I'd probably think, hey, what do I look like in 20 years' time? What do I look like in 10 years' time? What do I look like in 5 years' time? I may focus year to year, but I'd be moving towards those 5-year, 10-year, 20-year goals. And I think by doing that, I would be more creative with what I was thinking. And it would have slowed me down a little bit more to make sure that I was having the right business and having the right family life and the right social life and all those other things to go with it, rather than just focused on the sales. So awareness is big picture thinking.
Yeah. Awesome. And I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And I think there's another side of awareness to me, which would be self-awareness. So to me, there's the awareness you spoke about, which I wouldn't add anything to. Like, it's just, that's how I see it, like being aware of your life and what do you want. The other one is self-awareness. And I think for me, one of the things that's the most profound thing that I've ever learned was there isn't actually a world out there. There's only a world that I perceive in my mind. And other people are going to perceive that same world in a totally different way. So there isn't an objective world. There's the whole world is constructed in my own mind. And self-awareness to me means that if I have, and it doesn't mean things don't happen and I don't need to process things, but that's still happening in here. And it's, if I have a problem, the place to sort it is internally. And if I'm feeling great, then the place that's happening is internally. And so for me, awareness is, it's kind of got a meditative aspect to it of just like, you know, what's my feelings like? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? How am I perceiving the world at the moment? Am I perceiving it as a great place or a terrible place? And, you know, I found that no matter what's happening on the outside, how I perceive it is how it turns out. So other people can be believing that it's a terrible place, like that's happening a lot at the moment, right? It's a terrible world. But I have amazing times where I think the world is such an incredible place to be, and sometimes vice versa. Someone else may think that the world is fantastic and I'm finding it difficult at that moment of time. So to me, awareness is about what's going on in here and, you know, what do we do with that? Like if there are, you know, again, I feel super fortunate along my line of work to have found techniques that when I do feel down, I know how to turn that around and get back to a place of feeling really good. Because as you said earlier, Cameron, the way we see things, I think you said it maybe not exactly like this, but when we're in a space of loving things, we get more things to love, or like when we're in a great space. And so it's very, very important for me to how I view the world at any given time, or a person. So if I'm viewing a person as a terrible person, well, that's just happening inside of me. So I want to really work with that. And so to me, awareness really starts and ends with me. But by saying that, it doesn't mean I'm not aware with other people. Like, let's say with other people, it would be, instead of jumping to conclusions, like, you know, somebody may be saying something really negative towards me or you know, having a negative moment, whereas I could react. If I just took a moment and got aware, I might just ask myself, what are they actually going through right now? Like, this isn't about me really. I know that now. Even if they said something towards me, I'm like, this isn't about me. Like, what's actually going on with that person? So instead of jumping into the story with them and, you know, having a bad day myself, I'll be, more understanding of it. So awareness to me has a lot to do with, it's mainly me. I go to the word self-awareness a lot when we talk about that. And, but then that generally helps me to have a better awareness of other people when I can get into that mind state. Yeah.
Beautiful answer.
Cheers, both. It covered the inside and outside, didn't it?
Hey, once again, we'd love some more questions about real estate, about business, about life, just about the world, really. I mean, this whole podcast is about living our best life and being real. So anything to do with that, we're open to it.